Hello everyone, welcome to Business Central launch event. In today's presentation, we would like to present what's new in Business Central integration with Dataverse. My name is Sandy Binarko and my colleagues Ivan Kolatic. We are both product manager for Business Central. In the agenda today, we'll first review the Dataverse integration with Business Central, and then my colleague Ivan will talk about what's new in DataSync, and then it's my turn to talk about what's new in virtual tables and what's new in business event. So without further ado, let's review Dataverse integration. So as you know already, Dataverse is a data storage and management layer for business application built on Power Platform that includes Dynamics 365 sales, marketing, field service, and customer service. Business Central is not built on Dataverse, but we have extensive fabrics or tools to integrate with other first and third-party business application running on Dataverse, essentially promoting better together scenario through wider and deeper interaction between Business Central on those apps. Extensive means we cover all types of app and system interaction between Business Central and those Dataverse apps, such as data sync or synchronization, virtual table or virtualization, data cut event, data change, update, or delete events, or change notification, and finally, business event, which is action notification. Better together means Business Central and those Dataverse apps can be integrated in such a way that they can enhance each other, essentially living up to the proverbial expression 1 + 1 = 3. And the way to do that is to do a wider and deeper integration, taking advantage of the breadth and depth of those complementary interactions, so they become more and more sticky one from the other. All right, so let's go quickly on the 4 complementary interactions between Business Central and Dataverse. The first one is data sync that replicates data changes when data is created, updated, or deleted between overlapping tables in Business Central and Dataverse. The second one is virtual tables that enable inbound interaction from Dataverse into Business Central using Business Central CRUD API, but without duplicating data. The third interaction is data cut events. This enables the reverse direction, which is the outbound interaction from Business Central to notify other Dataverse apps that there are some changes in Business Central, some data changes. For example, it can actually start a Power Automate flow using the when a row is added, modified, or deleted trigger. And the final interaction is business event that also enable outbound interaction from Business Central to notify that some action are performed on Business Central so other apps in Dataverse can react. This can also start a Power Automate flows using the when an action is performed trigger. So next, I would like to pass it to my colleague Ivan to talk about what's new in DataSync.
Wow, these were some really great diagrams, and I really love, looking at the bigger picture before diving into details. So today, I'll take you through some of the improvements that we've done in DataSync and sort of around it, right? So we'll talk about linking Business Central and Dataverse environments. We'll talk about how you can add additional table and field mappings. And we'll talk a bit about the new thing that we added. We talk about synthetic relations. So the first topic that I want to talk to you today about is using linked environments in Dataverse integration. So why is this important? This is important mainly because businesses want to keep their data safe and secure and within a specific privacy boundary. Admins now have a way of ensuring that specific Business Central environment can be linked only with a specific Dataverse environment. It also, one of the side effects of that is that it actually ensures even a bit less friction because you don't have to choose the environment you want to connect anymore if the linked environment exists. Another addition that we've added in here is we've added a capability to add table mappings to existing integration tables. That has been a recurring request from our partners and our customers. And right now what you can do is you can simply go and define new tables that you want to map. You define the key synchronization parameters such as direction and filters. And after that, you can also define configuration templates that are going to be applied in either of the directions when data comes in Business Central or when the data comes in Dataverse. As well as with table mappings, you can also now add field mappings to these newly created integration table mappings or to the existing integration table mappings. You define that also by specifying the parameters for each of the fields, such as transformation rules, validation rules, and when they need to be applied. There are few things that we need to note in here. For the table integration mappings, what you will notice is that you can't actually remap or duplicate existing integration table mappings because these are defined in code, and we don't want the custom ones to actually interfere with the existing table mappings. The similar things applies to field mappings. With additional sort of constraint in here, we do support most of the simple data types in the mappings, but you will still need a developer assistance in case you want to do some mapping of lookup fields, or you want to introduce some additional logic that needs to be executed when the data gets transferred one way or the other. There are a few other things that I thought it was sort of good to know and good to share with our community in here. There are some few smaller or minor improvements that were also added to the data synchronization bit of integrating with Dataverse. One of the things that we've added is, as you can see on the picture, you now have a troubleshooting fact box, which enables admins to quickly identify and mitigate the issues that might have happened during the synchronization, rather than sifting through the long synchronization log and going on different places. Right now, when you go to integration table mappings, you can, on the level of a specific integration table mapping, inspect the integration errors and couple data synchronization errors. One of the other things that we've made to make the integrations a bit more robust, the operations of copying the company and copying the environment now actually do a proper cleanup of synchronization, so you don't get into situations where your data might sort of erroneously show that it has been coupled after you've copied the company, or that you get the synchronization errors from the source company that you copied, and so on. And the last but not least important thing in these small things that are good to know is that we have actually renamed some of our connection setup pages. We used to have Dataverse connection setup and Dynamics 365 connection setup. So the Dataverse connection setup stayed the Dataverse connection setup, but the Dynamics 365 actually got renamed to Dynamics 365 Sales Integration Setup, now that we also have the integration to field service, which is also named like that. But if you use Tell Me, you will still be able to find those pages the way you are used to finding them. And the last thing that I want to say in here is that we have actually enabled the use of synthetic relationships from Business Central. And why is that important? You know, and Sandy actually said there are sort of, in general, two ways of how you can actually move the data. You can either synchronize data, meaning you will transfer the data, and you can use the virtualization way of exposing Business Central data without transferring the data, right? And since we do have a set of APIs that can actually be exposed as virtual tables in Dataverse, and we know which data we are syncing, it makes sense to basically, rather than go and customize and add to the set of data that gets synchronized, rather than doing that and spending developer time on that, you can now actually use the existing APIs to sort of supplement that data that has been synced. In this particular capability, you can simply pick the tables that are being synced. You can pick the virtual table, link them using a couple of fields that you specified as you are guided through the new synthetic relationship assisted setup guide. And that takes us to the demo. So in Business Central, we'll get to a Dataverse connection setup where in the integration action group, you can open integration table mapping. There's this new capability where you can actually add new table mapping. We will call it work type to pay type, as I want to link the Business Central work type with pay type in field service, for example. What I will do in here, I will pick a table, work type. This is a Business Central table. And I will pick an integration table, is called pay, field service resource pay type. I need to pick the fields that uniquely identify the Dataverse record, and I also need to set the field that is used by the sync engine to figure out whether that data has been modified or not. I can choose in here to sync only coupled records. I will sync everything in here. And under Advanced tab, if I click the Advanced button in here, I can actually specify additional filters by creating a filter for these tables. These are very simple tables. I don't need any filters in either of these directions. And I can also specify the configuration templates code for when the data comes in Business Central, and the integration table configuration template code when the data comes in Dataverse if I want to supplement it with something. Now that we have the tables and the integration table mapping setting done, I can actually go ahead and proceed to field mappings. And in here, I will simply put, I want the code to go to the field that is called, I think it's called name, for example. And in here, I can, let's say, apply title case transformation. And let's say I just want to validate this field. Clicking next, we'll go ahead and create a new integration table mapping. It will also create the field mappings. The thing with the field mappings is that the field mappings are by default going to be inserted as disabled. So the moment when this gets created, and the job, for example, if you have been adding fields to an existing integration table mapping, there could be a job that is already running. So we wanted to provide you with a bit more control over when you actually go and enable these new things that you added in here. And of course, after I click finish, there's also the guide actually creates a synchronization job queue that is going to run the synchronization. Okay, now we have the new integration table mapping in here. What you will see, these actually get a flag as a user-defined mappings. And you can actually check the fields. Oh, what did I select? That was the first one. Let's select the correct one. If you select the fields, here are the fields that are done. And what I can do from now on, I can simply go ahead and synchronize modified records after I have some records that are coupled, or simply run the full synchronization for this to initiate the synchronization. Mapping, synchronization. Yes, we want to run it. And And that's it for this part of the demo. So in the next demo, I will show you how to actually go and set up a synthetic relations. I have Dynamics 365 for Sales integration enabled in here, and I've created some sales orders. And what I want to do in here is I want to also add shipments to those sales orders that I have that I'm already syncing. First thing that I need to do is check out whether a sales shipment virtual table has been enabled. It has, and now I go to synthetic relations, where I will create a new synthetic relation between a sales order table or entity in Dataverse and a sales shipment virtual table. If I click the advanced, you will see there's a virtual table API page that is used to list the fields that I can pick. And I will map those two tables by Business Central order number. And the other table actually has order number as well. Okay. Now when I click next, if there's a key already present, relationship just gets created. I can see that the relationship has been added. Now, if I go and switch back, have a look at my sales orders, right? I will, this is one sales order that I have actually already sent from Dynamics 365 for Sales to Business Central, and I will post some quantity just to create a shipment record in here. Let's say 3. And let's go and post the shipment. And after the shipment is posted, you can see I already posted one before when I was preparing a demo, and there's a second one that was created in here. If I now go and switch to Dynamics 365 for Sales, look at that sales order that I have transferred to Business Central. The moment I created that synthetic relations, I now see, and I now have this new sales shipments tab. Clicking at, and you can see there are 2 shipments in there. If I click in that one, since I have the sales shipment lines also enabled, it automatically actually shows the sales shipment lines for that table. And that's how easy it is actually to create a synthetic relation and use it in your production environments. And what you saw that I'm just a product manager, so I didn't do any coding this time around. So that makes me really happy. And with that, let me hand you off to Sandy. And I feel like that this synthetic relations thing was a perfect cue for what you want to talk about next. So take it away, Sandy.
Thanks, Ivan. In this part of the presentation, I would like to show what's new in virtual tables. So if you remember, we have entered general availability for virtual table in the last release, which is 23 Wave 2. And at the same time, we also enter public preview for Power Pages on the virtual tables that also happened in the same release, 23 Wave 2 release, right? So now I would like to show you what's new in 24 Wave 1 release for virtual tables. We don't have many features, but we have these small features that actually have been in high demand by many partners and ISV who wants to build virtual tables to support different companies in Business Central. As you remember, there is no company concept in Dataverse, so we actually have to support a way for Power Apps and Power Pages to target different company. So in the demo later, I will show several steps. The first step is to show you the standard global company settings that will be used by the virtual table plugin for all users and all apps and portals. So that means when the global company setting is set, all users and all apps will have the same company, right? And then we also have, since the beginning, a user-specific company setting that can be used by the virtual table plugin to override the global company setting for all apps and portal. So that means for each user, they can use one company, and this company that they target will be used for all apps and portal that they built or that they use, right? So what if they, the same user want to use different apps and different Power Pages portal, but targeting different company? This is where the new feature come into play. So we introduced with this release a Dataverse shared BC company ID execution variable that will be used by the virtual table plugin to override both the global and user-specific company settings. And I will show you how to build a custom Dataverse mapping plugin and mapping table to set this BC company ID shared variable for any combination of user, apps, or portal. So before we go to demo, let me show you how this mapping plugin and table works, right? In the standard Power Apps that try to access Business Central virtual tables, the app, in this case, in this pictures, for example, app 1, it will use Dataverse CRUD API to target Business Central virtual tables in Dataverse. And then the virtual table plugin will translate that Dataverse CRUD API into Business Central CRUD API, and will target the Business Central company that has been configured with the standard global and user-specific company settings. Now you can actually create a mapping plugin and table. So the mapping plugin can be created to intercept any Power Apps or any Power Pages portal accessing selected Business Central table. So for example, I can actually create a mapping plugin to intercept any request for Dataverse CRUD API that access Business Central sales invoice virtual table using the read API, which is a retrieve or retrieve multiple in Dataverse world, right? And then you can also create a mapping table where we can actually put the records that map any combination of users, apps, and Power Pages portal to their respective Business Central company. So the way it works is, for example, in the second picture, when user 2 and app 2 have a mapping table record that targets company 2, when it actually requests to access sales invoice table, right? The mapping plugin will actually intercept that request and will set the shared BC company ID variable to company 2, such that when the virtual table plugin picked up, it will use the shared BC company ID variable set to company 2 to translate Dataverse CRUD API into Business Central CRUD API, overriding the global and user-specific company settings. So now you know how the mapping plugin and mapping table, how it works. How do you actually create, register, and create fill the mapping table content, right? So there are documentation in Dataverse, which is like a Dataverse plugins and a register Dataverse plugin documentation, right? You will see that in that documentation, you can actually use the plugin registration tool where you can actually submit a step where your plugin, for example, in this, my example is, I call it the company mapping plugin, that will actually trigger whenever Dataverse retrieve or retrieve multiple requests is used to access sales invoice Business Central virtual table. So you know that whenever you want to access the sales invoice virtual table, either single row or multiple row, the plugin will be triggered. But when the plugin is a mapping plugin triggered, you want to know when actually it should actually triggered, right? So you have to pick the right execution stage. So in this case, we pick the pre-validation stage, such that it always it does its operation before the actual operation done by the Business Central CRUD API, right? And then in the mapping table, you can create an entry that match your user and apps. So in this case, in a Power App, you can go to the advanced settings. You can see, you can use the unique name. In this case, this is the prefix CR7B3 sales invoice app. It's the name that you want to use to in the mapping table. And then in the mapping table, you can create an entry. In this case, CR7B3 sales invoice app, and whenever the user is mode administrator, you want to always use Kronos USA. So you can actually make any combination of user and Power App and use many different companies. All right. And finally, I just show you a quick screenshot of this, the code of the mapping plugin. It's very, very simple. This will be published after the launch event. So you can essentially cut and paste it and modify it, right? The yellow part that I highlighted is actually the part of the code that will deal with Power Apps. And then in a different demo, I will show you the part of the code that will deal with Power Pages. So in the part that will deal with Power Apps, when a Power App is launched and it tries to access a sales invoice virtual table, this plugin will be triggered and it will grab the app name and then try to find the app name try to find a match in the mapping table if there's any record with the app name. If it find a match, then it'll look at the value of the company ID in that match record and use that company ID to update the value of the shared variable, which is the BC company ID. When it's done, then the mapping plugin will pass the operation to the virtual table plugin, and the virtual table plugin will use that BC company ID to override the global and user-specific company settings. All right, let's do a demo. All right, in this demo, I will first show you two different companies in Business Central. So I will show you the different sales order and sales invoices of this company, so you can see that the mapping plugin and mapping table that we built can actually target different companies later. So first company is the default Kronos USA. You can see the sales order for Kronos USA. There's a bunch of them. And then you can also see the sales invoices. There's a bunch of them also, right? Now I'm going to switch company, and you will see that the sales order for this new company has less entries, and also the sales invoice has less entries. Let me switch to my company. So this one. And now you can see the invoices of my company will have less entries. Yeah, there's only two, right? And then the sales order also have only one, I believe, if I remember correctly. Yeah, you see? All right, so now I'm going to the BC configuration app in here, which is actually comes with the virtual table plugin installation. And I will show you the default global setting for company. In here, the global setting for this environment for all BC is Kronos USA, right? And I have actually created a sales order app that actually shows the sales order. And you can see here, the sales order that it shows is actually all the sales order of the Kronos USA company, right? And you can see the user that used to log into this app is mod administrator. So now I'm going to change the user-specific setting for mod administrator user, okay? So here you go to the user entry, the user table in Dataverse, and pick the mod administrator and find the company default to default on forms. And here I want to set my company. Okay, and then save. So now, when it's finished with save, this setup of my company in the user-specific company setting will override the Kronos USA in the global setting. You can see here, if I refresh, it will actually show the sales order for my company. You see, there's only one sales order, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a mapping table that can actually be used to override also the user-specific setting for any combination of user and apps. So in here, I have a mapping table, which I called app name company mappings, right? And in the first entry is essentially, I'm saying that the app name is CR7B3 sales invoice wipe. And for the user mod administrator, when these two combinations is being launched in the Power Apps, you always target Kronos USA, all right? So to get the name of the app, you can actually go to the editing of the sales invoice app. You can look at the settings, and then select advanced settings, and you can see the name of the app, right? So let's see the sales invoice app itself. So right now, if you in the sales invoice app, I have a company setting that's set to Kronos USA. So the sales invoice will show all the sales invoice of Kronos USA, right? Now I can actually change the company setting to my company. So if I switch that, go to my company, all right, I'm saving. So if I go back to the sales invoice, it will only show the sales invoice of my company. And you can see there are fewer sales invoice, right? So and if you go back to the table, you can see the table has been updated. Before it was Kronos USA. Now if I refresh, it should show that the mod administrator user and the sales invoice app is targeting my company. You see? All right, and that concludes the demo for virtual tables. Now, in this part of the presentation, I would like to talk about what's new in Business Event. If you remember, Business Event was released in public preview for about 2 releases ago, 23rd Wave 1 release. And what's new in this release in 24 Wave 1 is actually a new UI pages for troubleshooting business events. And also, we add more information in the custom dimension for partner telemetry. In the demo later, I will show the following. I will first show the 4 complementary interaction for Dataverse integration that enrich one of the app running in Dataverse. In this case, is Dynamics 365 Sales. And we will enrich this Dynamics 365 Sales with Business Central data and information, right? And I will show Power Automate flows that triggered by data cut, change, update, create, update, and delete, and also business event that will push Business Central information into Dynamics 365 Sales. And then I will show the UI pages showing the successfully subscribed and send business event. And finally, I will show the partner telemetry showing the successfully also subscribe and send business events. All right, let's go to the demo. So in this demo, I'm showing you Dynamics 365 Sales Hub. In here, you can see a familiar account called Adatum Corporation, which is actually a Business Central customer that has been synchronized into Dataverse. So the data in here is actually coming from Business Central. So it's using data sync, right? And then below that information, you can see there are 2 subgrid, which is called Business Central Sales Orders and Business Central Sales Credit Memo. Those data are actually virtual tables. So we're actually showing a virtual table enriching the account in Dataverse, right? And the way you do that is you're using a syntactic relation. In here you can see there are 2 syntactic relations that relates a native account in Dataverse with sales credit memo virtual tables in Business Central, as well as a native account in Dataverse with a sales order virtual table in Business Central. You can see here, you see native and virtual table. All right. So another thing that I would like to show you is this part in the account form in Dataverse where you can actually push information regarding that account. So we will actually use data cut events and business event to enrich the notes section or the timeline section of this Adatum Corporation. You can see in the past I have actually send a data cut event to let users know that there's a sales order created in Business Central, and then I send a business event to show that the sales order has changed status into release, right? And finally, I send another business event to show that the sales order has been posted. So I will do that demo now. Oh, before that, I will actually show you the Power Automate flows that enable us to do this. You can see here in Power Automate, I have 3 flows. One is called sales order created notification, sales order release notification, and finally sales invoice posted notification, right? all of them are the same. Essentially, it'll be triggered for the sales order created. It'll be triggered when there's a change in the data, when a row is added, right? You can hear here when there's a new sales order in Business Central, this flow will be triggered. And when it's triggered, we'll get the row by the row by ID, and then we use that row by ID to find out which account row are related to that sales order, and then we use the name of the company to find out which account form to push information into. So the flow is exactly the same. Let me get back. So the flow for sales order created is the same with this flow for sales order release or sales invoice posted. And you can see the same flow except the different trigger. The other one is for data change notification trigger, while this one is for with action perform trigger that used for business event, for example. In here you can see you actually want to be triggered when the sales invoice is posted in Business Central. So let's do that. Let's create a new sales order. And this, I'm going to target a datum. It's a Paris gas chairs. Sorry. And quantity. So a new sales order has been created. You see here, open, right? Sales order 101027. And we should be able actually seeing here, if you refresh the timeline, there should be information push into the Datum Corporation account. You see there's a new sales order been created. Now I'm going to trigger a business event by releasing the sales order. I'm going to release it. It's released. All right. If you look at the Power Automate flow, sales order release, there should be an event being triggered, and just 6 seconds ago it succeeded. So now the timeline should also be updated. If I refresh, there will be a change in the status of sales order. Yep, you see? So the sales order 101027 is now released. Now I'm going to invoice it. Post. Okay. So it become posted sales invoice 103321. And if you go back to the Power Automate flow, let's see if the sales invoice posted notification has been triggered. Yep, it's been triggered, right? Then that means the account form in Dynamic Sales should be updated with the sales invoice posted information. There you go. Sales invoice has been posted. Now, all this event not only push to the Dynamic 365 Sales, but we can also troubleshoot from the UI pages. You can see here, there's a page, a new page, which is called Business Event Subscription. Here you can see that I have multiple events that I have subscribed, right? Yes, you see sales invoice posted version 1, customer unblock version 1, all different version, right? And then like if you look at, for example, customer unblock, you can see the activity log for that subscription. For example, in here, the subscription has been created a while back, and then there are 3 different notifications being sent. So let's go back to the sales order release and see if the event that's being triggered is actually also registered here. Notification. Yeah, this is the last one on the 13th of March. There's no retry because it's successful and it's been sent. And the same thing for sales invoice posted. You can see the notification is also been triggered just now. And then now, those events are also pushed into partner telemetry in App Insight. I have set up my app inside in this environment. You can see the telemetry string that I can add into the Business Central Admin Center. Once I do that, I can go to Azure and look at the partner telemetry and do a query. Like in here, for example, for that event, customer blocked event that I subscribed before, you can see there's a custom dimension and all the new information has been added. The production, you can see, then the name of the event, the version, right? Now, if I want to see what event has been generated recently, I can change the query. There are two business events that has been sent today. First one is sales order release. You can see here, sales order release version 1, targeting Cronus USA, right? And the second one, the final one, is also sales invoice posted. You can see here. Version 1, it's also targeting Cronus USA. And with that, we conclude the demo for this session. And I hope you enjoy our presentation, and I look forward to meet you in person in the Q&A session. Thank you.